finally, the JSON editors. I have shown you this online JSON query tool. So you can just Google it, JSON query path or JSON online tools, you will get them, or even JSON formatters, you will get them. Okay. Other than that, two more editors you can use, Notepad++ and VS Code. Notepad++ I have shown you. Let me show you VS Code. So as I mentioned, the JSON will be starting with curly braces. Always go like this. Even if you have gone through the transform, this is what I say. Just open the curly braces, and then you can write in key value pairs. Okay, if it is array, then you can write like this, right? Next, inside this, you are going to have multiple objects. Here you are going to write, or let me take, okay, I'll build a user object. I have just shown you as an example, right? So employee ID, test one, name, something, Tom Cruise, email, tom.cruise@xyz.com. So this is how you construct the object. Okay, so yeah, I told you to have this tab, but mostly I don't see people using tabs, or sometimes when I extract the data, it's not proper. Okay, so how can I make this data proper? I mean, I can change this language to JSON. Yeah, that feature is there. Go to JSON, fine. But still, the format is not that nice. Okay, so what if I missed a comma? Uh, those were my initial days of SailPoint identity now. As I mentioned, or I would have mentioned multiple times, I didn't have much time to learn SailPoint identity now. I had to start and work on that project. Okay. And JSON was completely new to me. I was working in XML only. JSON was completely new, and I didn't learn that even. So then I started. I mean, Identity IQ, I have worked lot of JSON related stuff, but I never bothered about JSON, not much. Okay, because in SailPoint Identity IQ, everything is represented in XML, and web services usage was less. In today's world, everything is a web services. Every application when they develop, they are going to expose the APIs. Okay, so would you believe that the client came to me saying that it was not working fine, something exception, and I tried multiple hours, nothing was working. And I went in advance, I developed rules, and I did everything whatever it is required. Still it was not working. You know why? The client, right, he has added in response body like this. Let me show you this in Postman. All right, this is my Postman. I created some sample request. So I changed this method to post. So I need the body. Here you can select raw. And when it comes to raw, you can select, by default JSON is there. You can choose some other type of data as well. But we are in JSON, so let's use JSON. Let me go to my Notepad++. I copy this data. I don't need this as an array, so I'll remove it. I copied this data. Now I'll go to my Postman. I'll paste it here. Okay. First, this format is not proper, so I'm gonna write beautify. So now this is properly arranged. Here, as I mentioned, each and every key value pair should be separated with comma, and the last entry should not have any comma. If you have comma, it means that it has one more property or one more key value pair. At the last, you should not have. So the client he mentioned this body inside HTTP operation of web service connector in SailPoint. I don't know. I didn't see that. I didn't open that body even because it was bit lengthy. I didn't see that completely. Okay, so he came to me and asked that this is my requirement, this is what it is failing. I tried all the ways, nothing is working. Then I started digging the requirements, and okay, so there he had 6 attributes for user. He was updating that user update operation. For update also, he was updating only one attribute. Still, uh, the API asks you to include all the attributes in the body. This is another requirement. Okay, so though you are changing only display name, for example, still you need to pass all the other attribute also. That's update operation with put method. Patch will be there, patch where you can pass only one attribute whichever needs to be updated. You do not need to pass all the attributes. Okay, but sale point, whenever there is a uh, request, it will filter. If there is no change in that attribute, it is going to filter. So when you place a request, the provisioning policy form gets executed and it is going to get all the values. But the SailPoint provisioning engine, it is going to before creating the provisioning plan object, the provisioning engine is going to check with the provisioning policy form output, I mean the attributes and values with your current account. If there is no change, it is not going to include that in provisioning plan. So how you are going to write these attributes? We are going to write in SailPoint HTTP operation web service connector body as $plan dot email ID dollar. That's how you represent, right? So we were not getting the data. So since those all are required attributes, it was failing. So I built a before provisioning rule and I did everything. Still, it was not working. Then I started digging into what he has done. Then when I looked into this body and this error was there, this extra comma. I couldn't see that in SailPoint console because it was a bit small, and for some reasons I couldn't see that. And I trust people as well. I trust that everyone is better than me. For many years I used to trust everyone as I think that guy has better knowledge than me. That is how I treat everyone, but that created problem at the time for me. Since I trusted that guy that he knows at least the basics, I couldn't find out what was the issue. But whatever the work I have done, it was required anyway. So I have copied that JSON. I thought of like, okay, it is not working at all, right? Let me try to test that operation in Postman. Let's leave SailPoint. Let's test this in Postman. If it works, of course, it will work in SailPoint also. Then when I copy pasted that body, that error was okay. If I could have pasted that in Notepad somewhere, maybe I would have not realized that even. Why? I was not that expert in JSON right at the time. I was not that used to. Okay, so maybe my eye might have not catched because I was in a hurry, right? So that's how it Postman will help you as well. So two things: one, syntax; second, you can use this beautify, and it is going to format properly. That is how Postman is going to help you. Notepad++, it's an editor. It cannot give you syntax errors, but it can change the color when you change the language to JSON, and it is also going to help you. Finally, Visual Studio Code. Let me show you that as well. All right, this is my Visual Studio Code. If you don't know about Visual Studio Code, VS Code in shortcut, it's a Microsoft IDE for development. It's a lightweight version for a lot of languages it supports. If you don't know, I request you or I recommend you to go through Visual Studio Code. It won't take much time, or I'll create a separate session for that. So download this. It's just like an editor, nothing much. Okay, you can create the JSON here as well, and it will help you a lot. So, and we will cover this as well, SailPoint, before going there. So Visual Studio Code, VS Code has uh, what can I say? Extensions they call. If you are working in Java, you need to install Java, right? In case if you are working in Java, you need to install Java, otherwise how the things will be supporting. Similarly, to support a lot of operations or supporting some languages, you get lot of extensions. If you see here, the icon here, extensions. Okay, so a lot of extensions, it is going to help you to do the coding. It's pretty easy. I'll create separate sessions for VS Code. I don't want to jump into that, you know. So like that, I have done some full stack web development. So I have downloaded Teams, Azure, ISC. And ISC is the extension developed by SailPoint. It was IDN earlier, now it's ISC, Identity Security Cloud. It is going to help you to do a lot of operations, in your ident now tenant. I'll create that as a separate session using ident now extension, VS Code extension for development activities. I'll show you. Okay, so now I can create a JSON. This is my IDN workspace folder, and inside that I have a transforms folder. I select this transforms folder, and here new file. Let's say I want to create a JSON file. Okay, so I'm gonna write it as, let's say, test transform dot JSON. This is created. Okay, so now I'm gonna write some JSON data. See, automatically the format is there. Or if I copy paste this from Notepad++, okay, the format is not, I have saved this. See, the format is auto adjusted. In case if you do not save that, I mean, see, the features are going to get updated automatically. A lot of new features are there. Even I didn't know that if I save this format will be auto updated, but I used to do this Control Alt F, no, Alt Shift F, yeah, Alt Shift F. So this is some shortcuts to format the data. And see here, it is also representing this comma. Yeah, uh, right side you can see that. Yeah, my VS Code background colors are not that great. That's why it is showing you this error. Okay, if I remove this, okay. So if you see this, it is saved. Okay, so you can use this VS Code editor to write the JSON. It will help you with the colors. What if I'm gonna write email? See here, it says a duplicate object key. You should not write. It is going to help you. Once I have developed before, I mean, not like once I have developed before provisioning rules or cloud rules a lot of times, but once I did a mistake. I have created a variable with some name, but I returned some other name. For example, if it is a Java, I have written as int count equal to 1 2 3 something. I have done some operations, but in return counter I have written spelling mistakes. I did. Because of that, I had to reapply my code in SailPoint. If I have written that code in Notepad++. Okay, if I would have written that code in Visual Studio Code, it would have told me that, dude, this variable is not in use. This variable is not defined. So it is going to help you. I used to write code in SailPoint Identity IQ Debug Editor. I was not using any IDE. It was my passion to write the code like Iron Man or Batman without looking at any auto suggestions, auto completions, or Googling. I would like to write everything on my own in a faster way. No suggestions, nothing. Everything on my own. So I used to write that in IDE, SailPoint, Debug Editor. No outside IDEs. I was used to that, but since it's ident now, we do not have any debug editors. So I'm writing in Notepad++. Sometimes I made mistakes. So yeah, sometimes I'll write my code still in SailPoint Identity Debug Editor so that I can test it. Anyway, the point here is VS Code. It's very good tool to write in JSON stuff. Most of the times we write JSON, and thanks to Identity Security Cloud ISC VS Code extension to handle lot of operations in Visual Studio using Visual Studio Code connecting to your tenant. I will show you that as well. Okay. Uh, so yeah, this is how you are going to manage this VS Code. And one last thing I would like to highlight here, the advantage of using Visual Studio Code for SailPoint, I don't know, operations is, um, yeah, you might have gone through transforms and SailPoint, I don't know, which is JSON, right? So how you are going to write the transforms, you might have written like this. For example, it starts with attributes, okay? Uh, then name of the transform, it's a test transform, okay? Then you need the type also, type, let's say account attribute, okay? Then here I'm going to write uh, source name. See, I'm getting suggestions. Let's say HR app 1. Then attribute name, which attribute you are going to get from here. Let's say email, some attribute your wish. Okay, so I have written this. Like this, I can write n number of transforms or concat or what, not concatenation. Sub transforms, sorry, nested transforms, that's the correct word. Transform inside a transform, so like that complex logics we can build. But recently I came to know this. I was not know it. I didn't know earlier, but I came to know not recently, it's been a while. So SailPoint has released boiler templates for uh, transforms in Visual Studio Code extension. What is the boilerplate template? Let me create a HTML file for you. I don't know if it work or whether I remember or not. So test.html. Okay. See, it's this is the beauty, I can create any type of file, or even I can create something. Test dot PowerShell even PS1. See, it is different. The icon is different. JSON is different, HTML is different. I can create any type of files I can. And for everything, SailPoint or VS Code is going to give me extension. So to support this the PowerShell and to execute them, I need to install it. Okay, probably I'll explain more in when I'm giving sessions about PowerShell, sorry, VS Code extensions. So for now, I'll just show you this HTML file, HTML. So I don't know the syntax even. If I write like this, see, I'm getting auto suggestions, but there is a boiler code uh, shortcut. See, I just typed exclamation and see the suggestions. And if I click tab, I get all these things. What about this triple exclamation? It's just one line. Okay, if I go with single exclamation, I get entire HTML structure. This is going to save you a lot of time. Okay, GitHub Copilot or Azure also from Microsoft Copilot. When you use that, you get automatic code. For example, if you type some Fibonacci, it will give you entire code for Fibonacci codes. Like some basic logics, it is going to give you the code for loops or conditions, all that stuff. I tried once. Okay, I'll show you some other time. That is what boiler template is. Similarly, for transforms, SailPoint has released this. It took a bit time for me to write this transform. I'm an expert, guys. That's why I can write this simply. I remember even because I still remember for my first project in a couple of days, I have developed 100 plus transforms. I didn't read the transforms even at the time. I didn't have time. And I have written nested transforms. Even I didn't know that it was possible or not. But my expertise was saying that it is possible. Krishna, go ahead and do that. And I tested and it was working fine. Okay. So that kind of expertise I have. So, and I have written within couple of days, I have written 100 plus transforms for the first time in my first project itself. So I got a lot of hands-on experience. I remember. But what about you when you are starting? Even now, I don't remember sometimes this transform structure, some transforms. So I go to SailPoint documentation, transforms. There I copy the basic transform, I paste it, and I'm going to develop on top of it. But you don't need to do that anymore. But you do not need to do that anymore. You can just type. But you do not need to do that anymore. You just type tr hyphen. You get suggestions. So tr hyphen acc. You get account attribute type transform. This is a boiler template, and you can customize on top of it. Or if you want to get static, tr static. All the transforms you can get like this. That is the beauty of using VS Code for all your activities. If you are a developer already, a full stack web developer, you are definitely are master of VS Code and Visual Studio as well. Uh, uh, VS Code is different, Visual Studio is different. Visual Studio is a heavyweight version of coding tool, which is licensed as well. So if you are not a developer, if you are not a full stack developer, if you are new, I understand that it may be looking something, what can I say, a different world, but it's easy, guys. It is going to make your life very comfortable. Trust me, start using VS Code. Download and install it. Anyway, I'll create new sessions for you. Okay, so that is another tool which you can use to edit your JSON or construct your JSON objects. Gives you color change, colors, syntax, or if you use duplicate keys, or a lot of help you get. All right, so that is about JSON. As I mentioned already, I will create new sessions when I come to know the usage of it or scope of it, or once I get a proper examples for each and every function or extra operators, I'll release out. But so far, whatever I know, I'm comfortably working in my projects without any issue. If you know these many, you can also work with comfort.